How's it going, guys? This is Higgins with Legal Automations. I'm on a quest to try out every filament in every color. On today's episode, we are taking a deep dive into JAYO's PETG in black. I was recommended to try out JAYO as a company by one of the commenters, so if you got a filament type that you want me to try out, be sure to leave a comment with that. I'll see if I can take a look. One of the things I'm a fan of with JAYOs comes nice little tabs here. I have seen ones where they've had Mylar bags, except without the Ziploc thing to make them reusable, which was an interesting choice, but they do always come with these nice little tangle-free kind of things to help preserve some of the filament that you can use, like filament clippers. Anyway, as you know, here at Legal Automations, we always dry our filament, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the filament dryer for at least 6 hours, and I'll see you back here shortly. Alright, if you're new here, we always start out by printing a Benchy in the generic settings for that particular filament in Bamboo Studio, in this case generic PETG. So we'll go ahead and do that, get that sliced up, should take a little under an hour. So we'll get that printed as well as all the other test prints, and I should see you back here in a sec. Alright, here we have all the test prints that we printed out in JAYO's PETG black. But, you know, we always start out with the generic Benchy. Honestly, this filament gave me a lot of trouble, and as you can see with some of the artifacts and overhangs and a couple of other smaller details, some of the word lettering kind of thing, all of this ended up giving me a whole heap of trouble that I've noticed consistently with some of JAYO's darker colors. Anyway, we did the dimensional cube. This one was 40 by 40 by 40 millimeters cubed. A little bit of issues there at the as it came up a little bit, I think, from the build plate. It's very subtle, but you can tell when it's in your hand there at the corners. Anyway, the next step was the temperature tower. For this one, it ran a little bit hotter at 245. Or excuse me, a little bit cooler at 235, sorry. Ran a little bit cooler at 235. But there was a minor other issue with doing that, because at 230, there's a massive problem with it coming out of the tool head as quickly as it needed to. So just be on the lookout for that. You can go a little bit hotter, but you lose some finer detail than 235. Anyway, the retraction test turned out very well. No real major issues there. The max volumetric speed test had a little bit of issues coming off the build plate, as you can see, because it's split there at the raft. But, you know, that's what a raft's for. Anyway, this was able to perform relatively well at 28 millimeters per second cubed. Overhang test performed okay. There were a lot of lost details as we got towards 30 and 40 degrees, which really shouldn't happen for whatever reason it did on this very specific filament. So we did our best to get those settings dialed in, but we were still having some major issues when it came to some of the overhangs, as well as quite a bit of the lettering, as you can see. I couldn't figure out what was making this happen, so despite all my tips and tricks and that kind of thing. But if you're interested in this filament, you can pick it up over at Amazon for less than $14. I've included a link to the description in the description down below. But that's very good. But again, this is JAYO, so they include, I'm guessing, the weight of the spool itself in their calculations to make it seem like a better deal with 1.1 kilograms versus just the standard one. My overall thoughts, you know, I'm not a fan. I think that this, for whatever reason, had a bunch of different issues with the actual filament itself that I couldn't work out on my printer. If you've worked with JAYO before and this is your favorite filament, it might be worthwhile checking out. But you know, I'd love to hear from y'all as to what y'all think. Anyway, that's been JAYO's PETG in black. If you like this type of content, be sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe. This has been Higgins. I hope to see you back here next time. Thanks.